Hi, and welcome back to the Writer's Parachute, where we are guiding writer and author dreams to a perfect landing. And of course, today we are being joined by a special guest. She is an author and former registered nurse. It is Arlene Lomazoff-Marron. And I'm sorry if I stumbled over that a little bit, but we'll get better at it. We're going to be talking to her later in the show about her two books from the contemporary fiction category, Beneath a Blanket of Snow and If We Had Known. But of course, first we always start with the housekeeping. We want to make sure that you go smash that like button, that you go ahead and hit the bell for the reminders, and of course subscribe here on the YouTube channel or the podcast channel where you are listening or watching to the Writer's Parachute. Of course, you can follow us on social media at Writer's Parachute. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now on TikTok. We hope that you go follow us and get up-to-date information. Of course, we want to make sure that you subscribe so you get the notifications when we have a new episode every week. We always have interesting authors, illustrators, and those associated with the writing industry here on the Writer's Parachute, with lots of tips and tools and tricks and shortcuts to get you through the writing and publishing process. So of course, we want to go ahead and start off with our topic of the day. So this is a weird topic, not that it's weird to authors, but it's a weird topic to have a conversation about because everybody has their own opinion about the best way to go about it. And I'm just going to offer my thoughts on it. And I hope you take those well and maybe find a seed or a kernel of information that would be helpful to you. So we're talking about reviews. If you are an author, if you're a published author, or if you're still writing on a blog or whatever you're doing over on Medium or one of the other platforms, you still need reviews. This is how we appeal to readers. This is how we say to them, this is something that you want to read. This is something that would be good for you. This is something you may be interested in. And there are a couple of different ways to go about asking for reviews. We have a passive ask, an active ask, a purposeful ask, and a paid ask. So let's talk about the passive ask. Passive asks are super easy. Those would be just basically a post on your social media that says, authors need reviews. Think about leaving a review of the next book you read. That's a passive ask. Also, putting at the end of your book, authors, rely on reviews to get more readers. When you finish this book, go leave a review. Even a short review that I like the book would be helpful. That's a passive review. An active ask would be where you are regularly asking people. So you're out selling books at a festival, you're on an interview or something like that, and you're like, I would like to get reviews. It's like, I'm asking you to give me a review. Here's my book. I would love for you to read it and give a review. These are often associated with free or discounted pricing. So a lot of times you will see on social media, hey, my book is free for the next 5 days. I would love if you'd go download it and review it. This is an active ask. The third one is the purposeful ask. Now, this would be where you are purposely looking for reviews. A lot of times this comes up when you are launching a book in your pre-launch stage, where you are setting up your street team or your launch group, and you're asking them, hey, I'm going to give you a free copy of my book, and you will be required to write a review. Doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to be, short. You just need to write a review. That's a purposeful ask. Also, a purposeful ask would be sometimes, especially in nonfiction books, but this happens also in fiction books, people will ask reviewers to pre-review the book. They will send them an advanced reader copy asking for a detailed review that they may or may not print in the front of the book or use in the pre-promotion and post-promotion of their book when it's being launched. That is a purposeful ask for review. And the fourth one is a paid ask. A lot of people have different opinions about this one. This is the most controversial, but you have to decide what is best for you. If you are struggling to get reviews, then I would say there are places that you can go and get legitimate paid reviews. These oftentimes are where you would go in association with an award or a company that does reviews. You have reviewers on Amazon that's pretty much what they do. They do reviews. It's considered an editorial review where they're reviewing your book. There are, there's the Publishers Weekly, Book Life. If you're self-published, that they do reviews. There's Mom Choice Awards that do reviews often for like children's books. There are so many out there. The big one out there is the Kirkus reviews. These are all paid reviews. Now, there are obviously on social media a lot of people going, hey, pay me so much money and I'll get you so many reviews. Do your work, do your homework on these people, because sometimes, yes, they may get your review, but it may be the same review 10 times, posted by 10 different people. Oftentimes they have spelling problems. Their concept of what the book is about may not be accurate. So if you're going to do one of those paid reviews where these people are contacting you through social media, do your homework, do check into them. But some of the other ones are a better option for you. So I hope this helps you break down all of the talking points and all the options for you for reviews. And of course, stick around with the Writer's Parachute and we will talk more about this. But remember, as an author, reviews are king. So let's get on with our show. And today, of course, we want to talk to our special guest today. It is Arlene Lomazoff-Marron, and she's an author, registered nurse, and we're going to talk about her two books from the contemporary fiction category. It is Beneath a Blanket of Snow and If We Had Known. So about a week before Arlene retired from a career in the healthcare field in December of 2019, a coworker commented that she should do something from her bucket list. She immediately replied that she would write a novel and wondered why she had replied so quickly and with such conviction. She hadn't really thought about writing a book or a career in writing, but decided to go into nursing school instead. A Blanket of Snow was her first novel. Due to the great reviews and feedback from her readers, she decided to keep writing and published her second novel, If We Had Known, in April 2021. She's currently working on her third novel, which she hopes to publish this year, and she lives in the United States in Pennsylvania with her husband. Welcome to the Writer's Parachute, Arlene. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Donna. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, we're very thankful that you decided to join us, and I really did enjoy reading your book. Now, I haven't finished the first book you wrote. I started with the second one because it was newer, and I figured our audience would be a little more interested in that, but I'm still reading it, and I'm very kind of glued to the page. So you began kind of your writing career because of the friend that suggested it, and you kind of found success. And it's like, I'm always curious how people stumble into this. So can you share with the listeners here how that experience and that journey happened for you? And, kind of going from being a full-time nurse to now a full-time author, that just seems like an odd transition. And I'm very curious about that.
Yeah, it still surprises me. And when I was an adolescent and probably the beginning of my high school years, I really did want to write, and I explored colleges actually to study writing in some capacity. I didn't know if I wanted to be a journalist or a writer, but I actually was looking at colleges, and a friend of mine was applying to nursing school. And I had actually volunteered. I'm dating myself, but I was a candy striper for those older viewers and listeners. I had these little red and white striped uniforms, and so I was about 14 when I did that, and I saw nurses going in and out of patient rooms and giving medication, and I thought, oh, I could do this. And so when my friend was going to nursing school, they were applying to nursing school, I said, oh, I could do that, sure. And so I was accepted. Off I went to nursing school, and I really didn't think about writing for more than 40 years that I worked in healthcare, and I raised a family. And when my friend made that comment about bucket lists, it just shocked me, my response, and how quickly I responded, because obviously it was buried somewhere in my subconscious that I wanted to do this, but I certainly did not say I'm going to retire and write. That was never my plan. And so this was just a really big surprise to me. But I thought, I must have said it for a reason. And so I explored that possibility of, is this something I could do?
Right. And, I often wonder when you say that, because I sort of did something very similar. It's like, I always wanted to be a writer. I'd always written and everything. But when I became an adult, it was like, do I risk being a writer and struggling and, and depending on other people to kind of help me through, or do I go get a real career? Because in those days, and writing was really difficult. It was really difficult to break through. It was really difficult to get published. And so I made the choice to just go get a career. It wasn't what I loved, but it was something I could do. So was that similar for you?
Well, I definitely, I do not regret my nursing career. And never over the decades did I say to myself, gosh, I should have gone and been a writer. I always could put words together, put sentences together. I had a very good command of spelling and grammar and punctuation, but I never in all those years said, gee, I'm going to write. My friends and I, my nurse friends and I would joke and say, oh, we should make a book out of our experiences. But I never really thought about it until my response to my friend. And I often wonder now what would have happened if she hadn't said that to me. If she just, but it's wild. It's the things that we never expect in life.
Right. And I think, serendipitous moments is kind of the topic that we're going to get into in a couple of minutes. But, just to clarify, I never did regret my careers. And, I continued writing, but it was almost, for me, it was almost like, well, that's sort of a dream and this is reality sort of thing. And, it's like, I didn't actually believe once I retired that I was going to be a writer, author, teacher, editor, or any of these things. They just kind of came about, again, serendipitously, where, my grandkids kind of encouraged me to, go ahead and, all these stories that I was making up and telling them to start writing them down. So, it's funny how life happens and almost becomes this circular motion. And, we kind of in some instances, we start out where we begin. So.
Right. I'm amazed, every day. This is a part of me. And when I'm with friends and somebody sometimes introduces me as a writer or an author, and then I have to say, well, yeah, that's true. I say it to myself, but it wasn't something that I've been carrying, that title for all these years. It's a surprise to me too.
Well, yeah, I have moments where, my husband will introduce me as, an award-winning children's author, and I'm just like, who are you talking about? He goes, you, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I kind of get that. So let's talk a little bit about your book. So your most recent book, the one If We Had Known, you crafted that story, and it's kind of a really, truly roller coaster ride. I was kind of on the edge of my seat going, oh my goodness, there's so many twists and turns and ups and downs. And it's like, I was just not sure what was going to happen next. So I want to know what inspired you to tell this story.
Well, one of the things that happened with my first book, when I released the book, there were friends of mine who naturally, I suppose, asked, was it a medical story? And I said, no. I said, I'm not doing a medical story. So my second book, if we had known, what happened was a couple things in my life where there's we have these little medical problems that are kind of chronic little bothersome things, not life-threatening, they're just there. We just deal with them every day. And so I, had a couple of those things and started to think, well, how people react to those issues. And then what happens if there's something really much more drastic? What's going to be the downfall? What's going to be the result? And so I decided to write this story and have a minor medical problem, which was, and I can say that was some hearing loss of Carly. But then she and her family are faced with another medical, or much more severe and life-altering medical issue. And I initially was going to have it more medically centered, and decided that I didn't want to turn people off. But what happens, I've worked a long time in bedside nursing in many spheres. And in this particular case, there's a medical problem. There's a therapist who becomes involved. And I have the utmost respect for therapists. I've worked in rehab over the years, and they're all just wonderful. It's just amazing what they know. And so I did that piece. And that was, really truly from my heart, because I really do have tremendous respect for them.
Well, you did an excellent job. In fact, I was kind of with the one daughter, Greer, in the book where she was going, well, maybe I should become a physical therapist. Yeah. It made it sound so appealing. And I was like, I'm a little old to be a physical therapist, but it sounded very interesting. If I read it earlier, I might consider that career. So in the book, there are several life-altering events that happen, and they kind of coalesce around this Brown family after there's a health issue with the dad. And I'm trying to remember, there were so many male names, I forgot what the dad's name was. But so I was just curious, why was it important for you to kind of showcase how this health crisis impacted the family in the unusual ways that it impacted the family?
Yeah. Paul's problems. I really was very interested, and I guess I'm drawing on my experience here. I was a case manager, a hospital case manager for a very long time, and I worked with patients and with families about the dealing with the diagnoses, the medical problems, and also arranging and planning for care afterwards. And so I guess that was the part of me that, we can't take what career we have out of ourselves, even after we retire. And so, if you're a teacher, you always act like a teacher. And if you're a nurse, there's that nurse part of you that doesn't leave, and just engineers. And, we can't help who we are. And so there was that nurse part of me, I guess, that really wanted to show the factors that go into and the family dynamics. And these are things that people don't necessarily see. You see the people in the hospital, and then they go home, and most times, unless they come back to the hospital and wind up in the same unit, you don't see them again. And so that was important to me, to show how the family dynamics because this is this is a long-term, this is not the 2 or 3 days in the hospital. This is a long-term permanent situation.
Right. And what I found so interesting about the story was that, it sort of does start with Carly and her almost unwillingness to accept that she has the hearing issue, and kind of makes Paul feel like he shouldn't complain because he needs to take care of Carly. And then it sets off this cascade when Paul gets sick, and he's seriously sick. And it kind of, it kind of falls into every member of the family. It affects what Carly's doing and how she's living her life, and the decisions that she would normally make are now being changed. Same thing for their 2 children. And I mean, I found it so interesting, the one scene where Carly was going through the house trying to figure out what she needed to do now. To kind of change things. And a sort of, part of me was kind of with Carly when she was talking about her hearing loss. I've had some hearing loss in the past year, and it's really hard to admit. It's really hard to admit, when you aren't hearing as well, when your body's starting to kind of, you feel almost this betrayal when things aren't working properly. So I really did connect with her. So now Carly, the main character, who is the wife, she is also a writer and a journalist in the book. So, and she's chronicling her family's experience after this health crisis, and which I found very interesting because it kind of kept you seeing all the different angles of how everybody was processing what was going on. So I want to know, is Carly kind of a representation of you and your journey in becoming a writer?
Wow. So that's a really interesting question. So I think I decided to make her a writer, interestingly, because I wanted, well, I guess there were 2 things. One, I wanted to be able to relate to her, which I guess does come into that. And I guess at this point, because, when you're writing your first book, you think, am I really a writer? Am I really an author? When you get to the second one, you're thinking, okay, well, maybe I am. And so I guess without even thinking about it, that was the situation there. When I decided to make her a writer, and maybe at the same time that I decided to make her a writer, I thought about having her reach out to her readers. And the thing that I was most concerned about was the fact that I usually write in the 3rd person. And so most of this book was written in the 3rd person, except Carly speaking to her readers, which was written in the 1st person. Mm-hmm. And I wondered, there's the part of me that said, oh gosh, you're not supposed to do this. Mm-hmm. You write the book in the same point of view the whole time, but there was the part of me that said, oh, go for it. Mm-hmm. And I hoped that I could pull that off. Although the chapters are separated, but it still goes from the 3rd person to 3 or 4 times that she's speaking to her readers in the 1st person. So I guess without really thinking about it, I guess there was that part of me, and I've put my medical knowledge in there, dealing with families, and then having someone write about it.
Yeah. Well, that, it was very interesting. And I will tell you, as an author and coach, it's like, there really are no rules to writing. There are only guidelines. And as long as you understand why you're breaking that particular rule or suggestion, then it works. And it completely worked in the book. I did not feel that there was any kind of weird transition where you did go from 3rd person to 1st person with these, it's more like a blog or a newspaper article where she is communicating with her readers on the newspaper. So I think it was great. I think you did an excellent job with that. So
thank you.
You're welcome. So in the book, If We Had Known, I think the overall message for me was two things. I think that my takeaway was that nothing is forever and that life is precious and worth fighting for. Those were the two big takeaways that I got from the book. So what were your intended takeaways for readers?
Well, it's always interesting to hear people's perspectives, and I do agree, with you. But actually, one of my biggest was, what if we had known? What if we know when we make a decision? What will happen, down the line? Would we make the same decision? And in this case, Carly has made a decision more than 30 years before, and she never thought it would affect her later life. And so at times in my life, and I think that we as people, most people have gone through some kind of issues, some kind of problems in their life. I don't know of anyone who hasn't, but there might be someone. And when you're going through your turmoil, I remember thinking to myself, well, if somebody had told me years before that this was going to happen, I would have said, no way, I'm not going to deal with that. So I didn't know about it. And of course you deal with it because you really don't have much choice. But it got me thinking, and I said that more than once, if I had known what would happen, would I have done something differently? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big, and the cover of my book has a crystal ball in it, because I wonder if we knew in advance, would we change something in our lives? And would it be, to marry someone, to not marry someone, to take a job somewhere, to move someplace? Mm-hmm. And so that was a major part of me writing this book.
Right. And, and I did catch that in the book, but I think you handled it extraordinarily well, where you were talking about weighing the differences. If she had known, Carly, in the book, when she's struggling with this decision that she made at a much younger age that has now come back into her life, she does talk about the fact that if she had known, she might have made a different decision. She might have made several different decisions, but the other side of that, she wouldn't have the wonderful life that she's had with her husband. She wouldn't have her children. She wouldn't have her career. She would have, a different life. And so, while I personally think, that while it's nice to imagine what the future would be, I think I prefer not knowing, because it does, if you know what's going to happen, if you had known what was going to happen, right, you would make different decisions and possibly miss some of the great things in your life.
Yeah.
So.
Right. I agree. And there are very few things, if anything, that I actually would change from my life. Mm-hmm. And that's, looking back, and I'm not sure that everyone can say that. Mm-hmm. But you're right. We wouldn't have, if we didn't marry the person that we married and had children, we wouldn't have those children. We wouldn't have perhaps the house we have, or maybe the career. And so I agree. I would not have changed anything.
Right. I mean, it's, and I do speak to people. I have a neuromuscular disease, so I do go and speak to groups of people that are dealing with this. I've had it for over 35 years. So it's not as much of a struggle for me now as it was in the beginning, but I had to accept that while this was a very difficult part of my life, that it is who I am, and it's giving me all of these wonderful opportunities. Mm-hmm. to do the things that I really, really wanted to do. And it's just one small price that I have to pay to do what I do. And so I have to accept that that's just part of my journey. And yeah, if I'd known this was going to happen, would I've changed some stuff? Maybe, but as I get older, I look at it with, I guess, rose-colored glasses, and I kind of accept that it happened the way it was supposed to happen. Yeah. So, and that's a good feeling. I mean, it's not all great, and it's also all sunshine and roses, but you get through it, and you just keep moving on, and you learn. So, I thought that was an excellent point that you brought out in the book, and that was one of the things is your book, while it is fiction and while it is a very good kind of roller coaster read and kind of glued to the pages, it did make me think. It did make me pause and go, what would I have done? So I do appreciate that. So we're going to shift gears just a little bit and talk about why you're here on the Writer's Parachute. And we know that all authors and writers experience some kind of obstacle or challenge when they're writing or publishing their book. So I want to know, what was your biggest challenge and what did you learn from it?
Well, my biggest challenge actually was the fact that I kind of did things backwards. And what I mean by that is that many people, when they decide to write a book, first of all, some of them decide to write a series. Before they even start, they say, I'm going to have a 6-book series. Mm-hmm. And these are the characters. Mm-hmm. But whatever happens, people start and they put out their social media and they join all kinds of groups, and they market themselves before they write and as they're writing. And I actually, because of the way things happened, started writing first. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I finished my first book that I started and actually released it, that I really started marketing. I didn't tell people that I wrote a book initially. My family actually did not know that I was writing. Now, this was the beginning of the pandemic, when I actually started right before the beginning of the pandemic, the beginning of March of 2020. And I didn't initially even tell my husband I was writing until he saw me, hunched over a computer many days in a row. And he said, what are you doing? What are you doing? And, he was very supportive when he found out, but I didn't even tell our children until I had finished it and asked a writer friend to read it. So I kind of worked backwards. And that being said, and I think that was the hardest part was, I don't want to say play catch up, but I didn't have any social media name out there. I had my own personal Facebook page, but I wasn't even on Instagram or any of the other social media, Twitter or anything. And so I started came late to the game is what I would say.
Right. Well, and honestly, I know that it feels like everyone else does it the other way, but I will tell you that my experience as a coach is that a lot of people do it that way. They don't think about the marketing until the book's done, because again, it's more of this kind of, you're in the weeds and it's like all you can see is the book in front of you. That's a big enough challenge. But yeah, she has great advice here for our listeners, is that, you should really think about getting on social media and, creating social media as an author, as a professional author. This is acknowledging that you have created a profession for yourself, whether you're going to do it part-time or, as needed, or if you're going to do it full time, you need to create yourself as a professional author. And, there are so many ways that you can share on social media. You can talk about your journey. You can talk about your fears. You can talk about what has worked for you and what hasn't worked for you, or, this does draw people to you. And in the beginning, you may only have other fellow writers that are kind of going through the same, or maybe an author that's a little ahead of you that, you know, is offering some advice and stuff like that, but at least it gives you a solid platform to begin your journey in doing promotion and marketing. And, you know, I strongly suggest that after your first book, or however many books that you're on, if you're thinking about writing your next book, you know, you might want to start with a proposal. A lot of times proposals are just a sketch, an outline, a roadmap of not only what the book is about, but when do you think you're going to have it ready? What is it going to include? And again, who's your audience? Where are you going to find your audience? How are you going to market it to them? These are the same sort of things that go into proposals, especially if you are thinking about querying for an agent or going traditionally publishing. A lot of times they are going to ask for a proposal instead of the full manuscript. They may want a few pages of the first chapter, but oftentimes they will want a full proposal. So that's an excellent advice for people. Yeah. I'm glad that that has worked. So were you better at the marketing when you went to your second book?
Well, I'll tell you, marketing is still the most difficult part. And, you know, a lot of writers will say that. And I think that it goes back to, you have to sell yourself. And there are people who are wonderful at selling themselves. And, you know, I think back to working in an office years ago. And, you know, if you think back to, you know, many of us over the years have had children in school who were selling things, fundraisers. And so I would go to work and I would, you know, put the form on my desk and I would say to people, oh, my daughter or my son is selling whatever. And if anybody's interested, here's the form. And then there was somebody else in the office who would go around with the form from desk to desk and say, look at this form. My child is selling whatever. How many do you want? And invariably, most people bought from her. But I was never a great one to sell myself. And I think that that's part of why I waited to do the social media, was that, well, suppose I tell people I'm writing a book and I really don't finish it. And I guess that was just, you know, part of me over the years, and I had to learn to sell myself. And so I had to, you know, learn even to give out my business cards to people when I start talking about my book. And then they say, oh, really? And then I say, oh, yes, yeah, let me give you my card. And, you know, that's a biggie, because I guess I figured after all these years retiring, and I'm just going to stay busy. I'm not going to fade off into the sunset, but I'm not going to be selling myself in any capacity. I'm not, you know, applying for a job anywhere. And I was wrong.
Well, you know, and I'm going to kind of correct your thinking here and maybe offer some help here to our audience. Honestly, I know that a lot of people get tripped up by marketing. And again, they have this idea that it's because they are not comfortable selling themselves. But honestly, you wrote a book, you created a product.
Yeah.
That's what you're selling. So I think if you give yourself that permission to distance yourself from the selling part of it, that you're just trying to sell the product like you were selling the candy bars and things for your kids' class, you're offering something that people want. I mean, should we all have chocolate bars? Probably not. Do we like them? Sure we do.
And we buy them.
And we buy them. Right, exactly. Right. Same thing with books. It's like you have to think about marketing as, I have a product here. How do I find the people that need that? And then how do I convince them that this is going to fill that need?
Right. Good point.
So it's, you know, and, you know, but again, you're not wrong. This is what I hear a lot of times. People are like, oh, I don't like marketing myself. Well, yes, there is a small portion of that as an author that you're going to be marketing yourself, especially to, you know, get on podcasts, to do interviews and stuff like that. But it is mostly about the product, the book that you've written,
yes,
that you're selling. So, all right. So I have a question for you. I like these next set of questions, fun questions. So if you could talk to your younger self today, what do you think you would give as advice?
I would say you're never too old to do what you want to do, to try new things. And, you know, I am amazed that the number of things that I started to do after I turned 50. I learned to play mahjong. I started taking piano lessons. I never took piano lessons as a child. I am still taking piano lessons every week for years. Am I great? No, but I started from zero. And so, you know, people were amazed that I'm, you know, started as an adult. And I started riding a bicycle for recreation and taking bicycle trips. And then I sat down and wrote books. And so when you're young, especially, you think to yourself, well, this is it. I'm in my prime, and I'm going to, you know, slow down and do what I like to do as long as I can. But I don't think people think about taking up new activities. And you know, I say, like, seize the day, carpe diem, and you know, go for it. The sky's the limit.
Right. And, you know, I honestly think that for me, I've taken up a lot of new hobbies and new interests and stuff as I've gotten older, but I think it's more because I have more patience.
Oh, absolutely.
When I was, you know, when I was first married, you know, working in a job, raising my kids and stuff like that, I really had no time and no patience for anything.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, especially, say, taking piano lessons, and that's something totally new. I didn't have that opportunity as a child, but I practice every week. And part of it is because I have seen some progress. I had very, very minor goals when I started, and I've surpassed the goals a million times over. But part of it is because I like it and I'm paying for it. And if I'm paying for it, then I'm going to do it. And you know, I know, especially as we get older, that we have to exercise our bodies and our minds. And this is a different part. This is a different part of the mind than writing or doing puzzles. And something that I agree, or never have had the patience for. And it's just things that, you know, I tell people that I want 30 more good years of life in order to accomplish what I'd like to do right now. And I never expected that. You kind of just think, okay, I'll retire and I'll read and I'll, you know, visit friends and, you know, take some trips. And I didn't think about, well, gee, I'm going to set my piano lesson at this time because afterwards I'm going to go for a bike ride. But if it rains and I can't ride my bike, then maybe I'll write. Things I never expected.
Well, you know, and I think when I think about when I was younger and I thought about retirement, it was like, for me, it was always like this obscure, like, different world where, you know, time ceased to exist and I could just kind of float in the ether. It's like I never really thought about the hours and the time and the moments and trying to fill it, you know, which I find that this is often something I talk about with my friends when their husbands retire or they retire, and they're like, wow, I don't really have anything to do.
I am amazed that people say they have nothing to do. And I've been described by one of my friends as the busiest retired person that she knows. And I, you know, there just really are not enough hours in the day. And that's even the things that I thought I would be doing now that not getting to. I somehow thought I'd read every word of the newspaper every day. I would read every word of a magazine that I got. No, it just doesn't happen. But I fill my day with things that, you know, give me a lot of happiness. And a lot of these are things that I didn't even think about doing when I was younger. And so I think that when you're younger, you think this is it. This is my prime. And I actually feel like, you know, I'm 65. How can I be in my prime? But I actually feel that way.
Right. And I'm with you. I feel like I'm living my life more intentionally now than I did when I was younger, or when I was really thinking about it all the time.
Yes. Yeah, as I said, I want 30 more good years. Yep. And people say, well, you'll be 95. And I said, yes, I know, but that's okay. That's what I want, 30 more good years.
Mm-hmm. Well, my parents lived into their late 90s and early 100s. So I figure I'm about halfway.
Okay.
So I think I've got a while to go. So back to our fun questions. So what are the 3 things that you wish you knew or wish somebody had told you before you began writing or publishing your book?
The first thing is how difficult it is to edit. So you write your first draft and you say, wow, I'm finished. I wrote this book. It's how, everybody says it's how many thousands of words. Oh, I wrote this book. And then you sit down and you read it and you edit. And it's mind-boggling because no matter how many times you edit, if you did it 5 more times, you would find 5 more things. Mm-hmm. And at some point, like my husband would say, are you done yet? Like at some point, just let it go. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's typos you're going to find, but a lot of times we're editing and we're saying, well, what if I put these words in here instead? And there's only so many times you can do that. At some point, you just have to say that's enough. And of course, the bit about selling myself was marketing. And I think the other thing that I never realized, never anticipated is what a thrill it would be to have something with your name on it. To hold a book in your hand with your name on it, and to go to people's homes and to see your book in the bookshelf and to have someone say, oh, would you sign my book? I hate to ask, would you sign it? And I said, it is such a thrill. You just have no idea. Mm-hmm. When I first saw my book on how it would look as an ebook, I just was so excited. It's just amazing to see. And I even said to my husband, look, this is what my book is going to look like on somebody's e-reader or somebody's tablet. And then when you order your book and it comes and you hold your book with your name on it, it's unbelievable. And you don't even think about that. It's just an amazing feeling. And it ranks way up there with a lot of other wonderful things that have happened in my life, but I never expected to add something like that.
Right. I absolutely understand what you're talking about. And for those of you who haven't reached that goal yet, I would tell you, make sure you document that moment because it only comes once. Now, it may come once with each book that you write because you get that feeling again with each new book. But you want to document that and you want to celebrate it because honestly, it is an achievement. There are so many people who want to write a book. Yeah. There are so many people who start writing a book. There are so many people who finish writing a book, but there are very, very few who actually publish and hold that book in their hand. So you are in an exalted company and you should celebrate that and you should get that feeling because you know what you've done? You've created something that is going to last beyond your lifetime.
And I do get that now. And I've thought about that. And I've said to people, the book is there. You've done the hard work. It's out there. 20 years from now, I hope people are still reading it. No, I hope they're still buying it. Mm-hmm. But it's there and it's something that you can't take away. Mm-hmm. My grandson, we have these kids and we think that they're not really paying attention. They're not really into things. But my grandson, oldest grandson, who's 10 now, there was the celebrating women recently, and he was asked in school who he wanted to celebrate. And I found out from his mother that he told his teacher he wanted to celebrate me, his grandmother, because I'm an author. And you think to yourself, wow, like, he didn't read my books. I mean, he knows, but it's kind of, he knows. But he does ask me, when's the third book going to be out, and, all these things. But for him to actually say, oh, my grandmother, because she's an author, is just, unbelievable.
Yes. Well, and I completely understand that one of the greatest moments for me as an author in my life was when I was getting ready to publish my third book. And my grandson, now he's in his 20s, he came to me and he's like, I am so proud of you. And he goes, and I have to tell you, when you first started this, he goes, I was frustrated and I felt kind of like my life was already over. It's like I figured like all my dreams had already passed me by. Things weren't happening the way I wanted to. He goes, but then I watched you go after a dream that you had put on for so many years. And he goes, and you did it. And you did it well. And he goes, I could not think of a better lesson for patience than that. And I was just like, wait, I did that?
Wow.
Like, I'm trying to write a book.
One of the, when I wrote an acknowledgement to, in my books, and my first book, I actually called out my children and their partners. And then I just mentioned grandchildren. I didn't mention them by name. And obviously we've had more since I wrote this. But what I said to them was, reach for the stars and chase your dreams. You never know how far you'll go. And that's a similar thing. I just thought to myself, if there's not much that I can leave my grandchildren, they need to know that. Just chase your dreams, because they can become a reality. Age is not an obstacle. I have many friends, you mentioned people who write books, may not finish them, may finish them, may not get them published. I've spoken with many people who said, oh, I've been writing in a journal for years, or, oh, I've been writing poetry for years. I have the stuff in a bureau drawer. And I said, you could publish this. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll think about it. And I say to people, look, if you're concerned about whether you want to sell 100 books or 10 books, or you don't want to sell any except to your family, I said, there's just nothing like it. Publish it, self-publish it, whatever. Get your copies and have a book with your name on it. And even if you just, give it to your family, I said, there's just nothing like it to hold that book in your hand.
Right. And here's the wonderful thing, for all the generations coming after me, even if I'm not here, they have a piece of me to pass down.
Yeah.
So that's been a wonderful thing for me. So, all right. So who inspires you as an author?
I think more than a person, I would say, when I read prose that is just grabs me, the type of thing that you're reading a book and you have to stop. Some books you can just kind of skim through and you read them quickly, and some of them you take your time, but it's the ones that I get to a passage, a paragraph, and I have to stop and say, let me read that again. And then I go back and I read it again and I say, wow. And it's those things that, so more than a particular person, I would say a particular writing or style of writing that just grabs you. The way the words are placed, there's so many different ways to say the same thing. And when somebody just nails it, that's an inspiration to me.
Right. Yes. And I completely understand that. It's like, sometimes I read for entertainment. Sometimes I read for, my business. And sometimes I read as an author because I need that bucket refilled. I need to hear the words and the way they're put together and the layering of the details. And it just gives me shivers. So I do know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
All right. So we want to know what's next for Arlene.
I'm currently working on a third book. It is tentatively titled From the Ashes. It's another standalone, so it's totally separate, not a sequel, not part of a series. And it deals with the aftermath of a condominium fire. And it got me thinking when there, a year or so ago, was a fire in a condo here in the US. And there were a lot of people who died. But it got me thinking about the people who are left behind whenever we have any kind of a catastrophe. We tend to hear sometimes too much in the news, but we tend to hear about victims, and usually it's victims who died or victims who were seriously injured at least. And we don't hear about the people who were affected, but had to move on with their lives. We don't hear about that so much. And then we kind of forget, whatever disaster we hear about, how many people died. And so I was writing this story about people and picking up their lives. And it's very interesting for me because a couple of things. I always enjoyed reading books about people and about families and about relationships. And so I didn't realize it until I wrote actually my second book, until I was writing it, that I was writing actually the type of book that I like to read. The other thing that has surprised me is that I never knew I was a problem solver. So when I wrote, especially my first book, and I said, I knew where I was starting and I had some idea where I was ending. And I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to get there? How am I going to develop characters? And so, I never knew that I could solve people's problems and tie it together. So I'm working on my third book. And my first book, Beneath a Blanket of Snow, is actually in production to be an audiobook. I'm working with a great narrator who's also retired from a non-writing and a non-narrating field. And after he retired, he started to write and narrate. So we have that in common. And I expect that that'll be out in September, so a little more than a month. And that's really exciting. To hear somebody read what I've written.
Yeah, to hear it come to life in somebody else's a little strange, but it's good.
Right, and he's narrating this without having read my stories, my book. So obviously he's got his procedure. He probably reads the chapter before, but the entire book he has not read yet. And so he'll say to me, "Wow, I'm really into this. I'm really interested to see what happens." And I thought, good, that's great. So those are the two things that are going on.
Okay. Well, we're very excited. Of course, we're going to give them some information here in a little bit about where they can stay in touch with you and get updates on the audiobook for Beneath a Blanket of Snow.
Beneath a Blanket of Snow, yeah.
And also for this third book, which is Out of the Ashes, is that, or From the Ashes?
Yeah, at this point it's probably From the Ashes, but everything's subject to change.
Okay, well, obviously we want to make sure that they are able to stay up to date to you. So where can we find your books?
So they are on Amazon. They're available as an ebook, also on Kindle Unlimited, as a paperback and as a hardcover. Okay. And
are you offering signed copies through your website?
I have not. I have certainly thought about that. I would be absolutely open to doing that. If anyone contacts me on my website, absolutely.
All right. Well, you heard it from Arlene. If you would like to get a signed copy of her book, go ahead and send her a message on the contact page of her website. We will have the links to her website and everything at the end in the show notes. So we know that you're active on social media. So where can they connect with you there?
Okay, so my website is actually arlenelomazoff-marron.com. Minus the hyphen. I'm on Twitter at MARRON_Arlene, and on Instagram at MARRONAL.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we will have those links directly to her social media and to her website in the show notes for you. So you are also asking listeners to sign up for your newsletter, and they can do that through your website. That it's ArleneLomazoff-Marron.com. Is that correct?
That's true. And there is a link there to sign up, to leave any comments, to ask any questions. That would be great.
Okay, great. So we are encouraging you to go ahead and sign up for Arlene's newsletter or send her a message. And of course, we encourage you to go grab your copy of one of her books, Beneath a Blanket of Snow, or If We Had Known. Look for information upcoming on the audiobook, Beneath a Blanket of Snow, and her third book that is currently working title of From the Ashes.
Yes.
So, is there anything else that you would like to include before we go pull the ripcord on our tip of the week?
No, I just thank you for this opportunity. And it's been delightful. And again, I encourage anybody who's thinking about doing something and they say, it is too hard, I'm too old, whatever, go for it. Don't regret it later on that you haven't done it, just go for it.
That's right. I mean, my philosophy has always been, even if I fail, at least I tried.
Yeah, I often wonder if I hadn't had this little push, to think about writing, would I have ever thought about doing this after I retired? Would I just have thought of it? I don't know, but it certainly, is a wonderful thing and a new part of my life that I never expected. So, get some joy from what you want to do.
Right. Well, we're so glad you did. So let's go ahead and stick around with us where we have our tip of the week. Of course, we try to dovetail it a little bit into the problem that our guest had. And Arlene talked about marketing. She talked about the difference between social media and getting that social media engagement, post writing your book or before writing and launching your book. And what I have to say about that is, I'm just going to expand a little bit on what I said at the time, is that marketing is key. Now, whether you're doing it before or after your book, honestly, really isn't going to matter. Now you will set yourself up much better if this is planned out and it's strategically done as a launch with the pre-promotion, the post-promotion, if you have this platform. But if you don't, it's okay. Because here's the thing, your book's going to be out there for years and years and years. You can start now and create a marketing program and start marketing it, because what we know and what we realize is without marketing, the right people don't know about your book. So if they don't know about it, they're not going to know that it's a year old and you're just now marketing it to them. All they're looking at is, that's a book that I want to read. So if you are thinking about writing a book and launching a book, then think about marketing. If you've already written and launched a book and published books or multiple books, sit down, take a moment to work on your marketing plan. Connect on social media. I hear people telling me all the time, well, I just don't know what to post. I just don't know what to post. Well, let me tell you, let me give you a couple of things that are always helpful. Talk about your journey. Talk about why you decided to become a writer. Talk about what you're struggling with, what you're learning, what you are liking, what you're not liking. Talk about coming up with your author bio. Everybody has, issues. What should I say? How much to say? What not to say? what to include, what not to include. Same thing when you're working on your back cover copy. It's like, ask your followers, what do you think of this back cover copy? Do you think it gets the point across? Is it intriguing? Is it causing curiosity? Do you really want to buy that book? Do you really want to read this story? Ask them about that. Ask their ideas on a book cover. You can give them hints and tips and little inside sneak peeks of pieces and parts of your book and say, this is kind of what the book is about. What do you think about this for a book cover? These are all the things that you can do. Now, as you're writing the book, there are a multitude of things that you can talk about. You can talk about the characters if you're writing fiction. If you're writing nonfiction, you can talk about the topics that you're writing about. Now, you don't have to give away the farm. You don't have to give away the secrets, but there are little tidbits that you can dribble out on social media to get that curiosity, to keep those fans, followers, and readers coming back to you. You're establishing yourself as being credible and to be somebody that they can come to about a particular topic, subject, theme, genre, or something of that nature. So decide what it is that you want them to be known for as an author, and start that journey. And even if you're doing it wrong, trust me, somebody's going to come along and go, maybe you should change this. I'm over on TikTok. I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm getting followers. And the thing I love about it is I get so many young followers going, you really should do it this way. And I'm just so thankful that they're willing to teach an old dog a little new trick. So just remember that it's fine. Do the best you can and just keep learning. That's one of my great tips, is learn something new every day. You'll be so appreciative at the end of the day, and it makes each day exciting. So, because you never know what you're going to learn. So I hope that that's helpful for you. I hope that we can take some of the scariness out of marketing and let you know that it's just about connecting you, the author, and your book with the perfect reader that really wants to read your story. So until next time, we want to thank Arlene for being a guest today. Thank you so much for being here on the Writer's Parachute. And of course, we want to remind you guys to go follow the Writer's Parachute on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and now on TikTok. We'd love for you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, the bell, to remind you when new episodes come out each week. And of course, if you're on one of the podcast channels, of course, go ahead and follow us there. We so look forward to having a new guest next week. And thank you so much, Arlene. We hope that you come back when your new book is out.
Thank you so much, Donna. It was a pleasure.
All right. Well, and of course, until next time, we hope all of your dreams land well. Bye.